I'm very happy to welcome both of you to the table here today. Mary, I wasn't able to share your title with everyone. Apologies. But Mary is also from Elastic. Mary, would you like to tell our audience members the role that you hold at Elastic? Apologies, it's not in my notes. I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
no worries. Maybe I did not add it. But I am a software engineer in one of the Elasticsearch teams. So Elasticsearch is the base of where we build all our products at Elastic. And I'm working in the data management team that is processing the data that comes in. You're muted.
Lord, y'all, once every event, I always lose my mute button. So now we've got that out of the way. Okay, so obviously we want to talk about the world of tomorrow. Now, none of us has a crystal ball. We don't know what's going to happen, but we can all kind of make our best guess. And you both have navigated major career shifts. You have worked across industries, you have led high stakes security teams, and balancing life as a parent cannot be, cannot add a small amount of difficulty to this. So, how have these experiences shaped your approach to adaptability in the workplace? Jordyn, would you like to start us?
Sure. So originally, when I started my career, I was in a less technical role. I was actually working at PwC, who just presented, and I wanted to pivot to a more technical role. So essentially, I reached out to the team. I said, I'm interested in incident response, and they gave me a little bit of a test. I essentially failed it, but I messaged them saying, this is everything I tried, and they respected the effort that I put in. And from there, I had 1 month left on my lease, and they said, you have to move to a city where we have people from that team. So I was given 1 month to move across the country. That really made me adapt. It was something that I was willing to do because I wanted to make this career shift. And then also further down in my career, I just was working at tech companies that changed rapidly. So in itself, cyber does change, and then we're also changing within our teams. So it just made me learn about what's core to my role, show up to work every day, not expecting anything. Within incident response, you're responding to suspicious activity, cyber incidents. So I could show up, someone could message saying, oh, someone joined our Zoom meeting that shouldn't have been there. Now we're doing analysis on Zoom logs, or it could be forensic analysis on a system. You really have no idea what's going to happen for the day. Your plans get thrown out immediately. But that's sort of the joy of it. I like to be challenged. I like to learn. So that's what I've learned, to embrace it.
That makes a ton of sense. Yeah. Mary, how about you? Have you had similar learnings from your time in the industry? What have you learned about adaptability in your career so far?
So for me, I had to kind of unlearn everything I grew up with as how your life is going to look like. Like you go to school, you study, you go to university or some kind of next level education, and then you start working. Then you focus on your career until you're 30, and you reach your peak, and now you focus on the family. If you look my resume, it does fit those milestones, but my mindset was completely different after a certain point. When I started my career, it was terrifying. Like in the beginning, it was okay because you start from nothing. But then as the years pass, you're like, that person is better than me. I want to be that person, but I don't have enough time left. And all these kind of things that were like super stressful. But luckily, I was living in a different country in the meantime. So I moved from Greece to the Netherlands, and I noticed that there were people that I enjoyed very much hanging out with, that they were older and they were switching careers, they were still actively learning. Nobody has like, I'm done. And I learned so much from them. And at some point I was like, there's no biological clock ticking, there's no time frame. Why am I chasing a clock that does not exist? So then I kind of was like, okay, need to change your mindset. Like read a book about growth and fixed mindsets, which really helped me, and decided that I'm just going to play the long game. So there's no stopping at 30 or when you have a family or things like that. All these do affect everything that happens in your life affects you. But a burnout, just because you're trying to reach your goals faster than you can, also affects you. So yeah. So for me, that was the main thing, that there is no. I want to keep evolving at the pace that at each moment in my life is visible, but there is always an upwards trajectory. And I want to be, I don't know, next to retirement, after retirement, and still enjoy the work that I'm doing and the things that I'm learning. So lifelong learning is something I had to learn much older.
No, I like this. And I very much appreciate the idea that these mindsets or these frameworks that we grow up with or that we form for ourselves sometimes can be incredibly limiting. And if we are able to step outside of that framework for a second and be like, okay, but why? Why do I need to do this now? Why do I think this is the next step? Because sometimes it is the next step and sometimes it's not. So I very much appreciate this because, you know, one of the things we talk about a ton on chats that I get to host is resilience, right? And how you have to be resilient. And I think that it is a really, 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 really worthwhile skill, but also that adaptability and understanding that change is constant, but the pace of that change is not constant. So understanding that like there will be periods of growth and periods of stagnation. There will be periods of, you know, everything is going great, this is amazing, and also like, oh my gosh, everything's in free fall. So I think you're right, like being able to understand and leave yourself malleable to adapt to different situations is very, very, very important and always easier said than done, as obvious. Okay, career pivots and shifts are obviously incredibly intimidating. Mary, you were talking about seeing, you know, older people going through them. What are some of the biggest challenges professionals face when they're trying to adapt to a new role or technology? And what strategy has worked for you in overcoming those challenges? Mary, would you go first?
Yeah, of course. So for me, it's false expectations. So you have a level of that can apply to anything, just switching companies that can have the same effect, not only topics or areas of expertise. Switching can make you from feeling on the top of the chain, like I know everything, I'm the expert, I'm the best, to joining a team when you feel, I don't know, I need to hide under a rock, I don't know anything. And that can be very intimidating. But it's also necessary to grow because you made this choice for a reason. So false expectation can make you quit before you're ready. And the other thing, what helped me deal with this is try to identify the value that I still bring in. The fact that you start from zero in a new company, in a new area of expertise or whatever, does not mean that your expertise you have accumulated is not transferable. Maybe not the exact details will be transferable, but the way you conduct yourself, the way you learn, the way you deal, the resiliency, the adaptability, all the soft skills are there. The experience is there. Identifying improvement points is there. And if you only focus on, I am not where I used to be, you will always feel like a failure. But what you can see is like, well, I have room to grow, but also this is all I brought with me, and I'm not starting from scratch.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's very easy to lose sight of, I'm very guilty of doing this, of having these goals, and then once I reach them, I am like, okay, on to the next, which is a great way to live, but I don't tend to enjoy the moment, especially when it's like, no, 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 this is the moment that you've been thinking about and working towards for months or weeks or whatever it is. And I am horrible at recognizing that moment and realizing like, oh my gosh, I did it. I did the thing. I did the thing that I've been trying to do for however long. Jordyn, do you do this too? Is this something that a pitfall that you also have?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And then from my side, I would say pretty similar to Mary, but it would be just having confidence in yourself because it is a new role. You potentially don't have all of those skills that you're used to having. I'm the type of person that if you ask me to give a 1-minute presentation on a book, I need to read that entire book. Like I need to know everything to be able to speak to something. And when you're pivoting, you're never going to know everything. So just being comfortable not knowing everything. Even if you're not going to have that confidence and be able to speak to it, just listening to others. I don't have like a magic answer, but for me, something that was helpful is having an e-notebook, just so I can write down everything and listen and process and focus on others. So I'm able to be engaged in the conversation, but also take notes. And that helps me learn, but also just be in the moment. And then just have confidence in why you're there and why you made the pivot. That's something I saw in my career where I was in that less technical role. I definitely wasn't as engaged and excited about the role. And then once I pivoted, I was so much more excited. I was starting further back, but I learned so quickly and I was just excited about it. And that definitely showed in my performance reviews as well. So others will notice if you're just excited about the pivot.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And it also, makes a lot of sense, Mary, like what you had said about you're pivoting, right? You're moving on to this new space. And yeah, a ton of that is going to be learning, and that's great. But you're right, it very easily leads into, I don't know anything. How would I, oh my gosh. And you're right, you lose all of that context and all of that, like, no, 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 you had all of this knowledge and all these skills that got you where you are so that you could pivot. Ooh, oh, pardon me, that hasn't happened in years. All right. Let's keep going on to our next question here. Elastic operates in a fast-moving, very innovation-driven space. It's one of the reasons I love talking to elasticians. How does the company foster a culture of adaptability, and how has that environment influenced your own personal growth? Jordyn, would you like to start us?
Sure. So Elastic is a great company for innovation. We're always advancing, whether it's within our products or just within our processes on the team. So we're encouraged to make those changes, try to make the adoption of something. Maybe it doesn't work, maybe it does. So just putting yourself out there and trying to make things better, even if it might not necessarily be successful. So that's something just within the company you see it in our products and then just among all the other teams. And then for myself and our team, we've definitely adopted that. So we're trying to use all of the Elastic products internally, whether it's for an intended use case or something else. We're trying to make things work. We're essentially pushing it to its limit and then working to improve the product. So that helps our customers as well. And then just also changing our processes. One thing I learned is it's never going to be perfect. So maybe it's those small changes. It might not seem like innovation, but it is just trying to make things slightly better. They might not be perfect, but just keep moving forward, even if it's small steps every day.
I like that. Power to Fly, thanks to the great Gina, we say that every drop makes a puddle. It's a very common phrase around here, and I use it in both good and bad connotations because it's true, right? You don't get you don't travel a journey of miles unless you start with inches, right? Well, that was a very non-metric perspective, but yeah, you know what I mean? Like this is something that you have to go by degrees to get any distance. Mary, how do you feel about all of this? What do you think about that culture of adaptability? How has that helped you to get to where you are within Elastic?
Similar answer. So there's this our values it's what we call our source code, and one of them is progress over perfection, right? So you need to make steps. You don't have to be perfect. You might never be perfect, but you need to make progress. And the other one is come as you are. So if you take that out, of course, that's how we work on our product, but also that's how I would like to work for myself. The things will change. A strategy might adjust to something else, or something you really wanted to work will get how do you say, deprioritized, or something you really want can get prioritized, right? So, but it's not only on your work, the actual thing that you're working on. It's the people. We keep growing. We're adjusting. Things that worked 2 years ago will not work anymore, and there's always a breaking point. Something that it's a process, it's a team, it's a product. It's the same thing everywhere. It works, just until it doesn't. And the moment it doesn't, we have to identify it and then say, okay, this is not working. Let's brainstorm. Let's start thinking how to adapt. So we try it for a month. What is the feedback? Did it work or not? Putting the moment of reflection ahead is super important, because it's so hard to find a good solution. And it's definitely on this size, a good solution that will fit the needs of the product, the needs of the users, the needs of your colleagues, like everything. So try something different. Otherwise, you will stagnate in just conversations over conversations. And you'll be surprised how easier people will jump on board if you say, we are going to evaluate this in a month or in 2 months, whatever fits your project. Yeah. And come back with feedback. Because otherwise people are defensive. No, this is not the direction I want to go. No, this will not work. Like, okay, let's try it in a month. We can come back with data. So things like that help a lot.
That makes a ton of sense. I mean, if I have an endpoint for something, it's like, okay, I don't know that I'm going to like this. Okay, we will talk about it in 5 minutes. Okay, sure. I'll sit here for whatever it is we were just talking about, because you're right. It's trust, right? You're building trust. That is, I'm going to try and put forth a solution. If it doesn't work, I will help you find another solution. Because that's the thing people are worried about, right? Is that you're going to find the solution and then you're going to bounce. And then when it doesn't work, where are we now? So yeah, you're right. That, oh my gosh, yes, building that trust is absolutely, absolutely crucial here. Okay, Mary, I want to go have you start us with the next question. Obviously, since the whole angle of this chat is looking towards the future, one of the things that is part of that, kind of race is how do you stay up to date, right? You want to stay up to date as far as new techniques, new tools, new software, new whatever. How do you recommend that people continuously upskill and stay up to date on industry trends and things without driving themselves crazy? Because it can be, it's an uphill battle, right? There's always going to be new things coming out. How do you do this?
So first of all, I would drive myself crazy. I cannot stay up to date with everything. So let's start with making and I think apart from very, 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 very little people, the majority will not be able to stay up to date with everything. So first, make peace with that. Then it's you're not alone. I really like the divide and conquer. So learning through other people. For example, I have not used AI. I have been working on a project. I've been busy. Life has been crazy. I didn't really have the time to also let's explore how can I use an AI tool in my life, However, my partner has also not work related, but still. But I also had friends that tried different things, and I have colleagues that tried different things. So the moment I'm ready, I'm going to start poking around and see which one of these, first of all, what was their experience, and which one can I cherry pick to start my experience with it. Why I don't need to go to Google and say, how can I start this, right? I can ask people I trust, people that have experienced things, diverse people, right? So people that just go and write everything and they get answers. People are like, no, I want very specific. I go for very specific things. So anyway, and then see what you can do. And you will stay up to date with certain things as part of your job. And as your seniority grows, that also becomes part of your role. So that I will not say it's easier, but it kind of comes with it as well. But without teamwork and camaraderie, I don't think we're going to go far.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes a ton of sense. I'm in the same boat. I have let my husband just run crazy with AI and all kinds of stuff. He's optimized our meal planning schedules. He's done all kinds of stuff. And that's awesome. I have been very depressed and have not felt like doing any of these things. And so every time he comes up with oh, and this is going to be our workout routine come spring. And I'm like, that's awesome. When does spring start? And he's like, in 2 months. I'm like, okay, great. We'll talk about this then. Very much the we'll check it out in a couple months rule. But yeah, I also do this with a lot of different things. I've got a friend who's very into cooking. Okay, I am never going to be a chef, but when I need to make a dinner, I call Maureen and I go, hey, how do I make steak? So this is I love this. I love this idea of you don't have to drive yourself crazy staying up to date on everything, but follow the things that make you curious, lean into the things that your job requires, and have people around you who you can ask and be like, hey, I know you're really into blah blah blah. What should I know about this? Jordyn, how do you stay
and
up to
one
date?
more one more
Please,
thing.
go right ahead.
Usually they will also like talking about it.
Yes.
So it's you're not a burden by asking. That's what I wanted to just add. If people feel I'm a burden for asking, usually people enjoy sharing the thing that they put a lot of hard work to figure out.
And if you're not sure, you can always just say, hey, do you have time to explain this thing to me? Because I really want to know and I'd love to learn from you. And in that way, you are very much able to get to the heart of either I don't have time, but this person absolutely can because you have to get started right away. Or I don't have time, but we could do it in a week and a half or 2 weeks or blah, blah, blah. So I love this. Jordyn, how about you? How do you stay up to date without, driving yourself bonkers?
Yeah. pretty similar. So definitely leveraging my network and just learning things day to day during the workday. So taking advantage of that overlap, you're learning, but also working. Things will just naturally come at you during the day and you'll have to learn. But also being mindful of there's a lot out there, like finding what's interesting to you and focusing on that. Also, a lot that's out there is sort of idealistic. And when I think about it, I'm like, there's no way it would work in our processes. That article looks great. We can use AI for everything, but you're not using GitHub projects to manage your issues. Things like that, where it's just these silly caveats that it's not going to make it feasible. So just having that mindset too, where you're like, okay, this is the ideal scenario. I'm going to research it and understand it, but also understand I don't have to go that much in the weeds because it's not realistic in current state. So just being mindful of that. But yeah, similar to what Mary said, overall, just leveraging my network. If something cyber-wise does happen, I would say it just naturally falls to me. Like someone will send a link, someone will chat about it on Discord. Something happened last Friday where there's a new vulnerability. We found out about it because of Slack. I wasn't monitoring, someone on the SRE team was. So really just leveraging those really smart people in your network and taking advantage of that and appreciating them, but makes my life easier.
Oh yes, absolutely. You, especially for those people that are handling the things that you don't want to tackle, that appreciation is key. Absolutely key. Okay, if someone is just starting out in tech or in another rapidly evolving industry, what do you think is the best way that people can future-proof their careers and build adaptability into their skill set? Jordyn, you want to start?
Yeah, so at its core, just understanding those transferable skills and what I like to think of it as like predicting my boss's mind, but thinking about what your boss and leadership are really looking for, what the value to them is, what as an organization they're looking for at a high level, and then working on those skills that can build you up to that. Then also just like keeping in mind everything is transferable to a certain degree. So within cyber, I don't know every tool. I don't know all of the different log sources and what could happen, but I understand how an enterprise works. So if we're talking about Zoom or we're talking about Slack, it's the same logs. So just being able to understand, I know how to respond. I might not know everything about GitHub, but I know this other tool, so I can quickly get up to speed. So just being comfortable in what you know, even if you're not going to know everything, and where those skills are. Where, okay, my skill is actually log analysis. It's not understanding each tool. Like that's what the core skill is, and focusing on that.
I think that's really good advice, especially since, like we talked about earlier, it's really easy to kind of lose your bearings and feel like you don't have anything to contribute, or like everybody else is smarter. So I think this is a really, really good solution here. Mary, how do you feel about this question? What do you think is the best way that people can build that adaptability into their skill set?
So, of course, what Jordyn said, so I will expand on a different direction. One is, I would say, learn to learn. Learning is a skill by itself, and it's not the same for everybody. So find out what works for yourself on how to learning. Find a way to be find a way. There are many ways, but to be comfortable to be in a new territory. So, for example, a lot of my confidence was coming by being really good at stuff. But then when you're in a group with better people, suddenly you feel like you suck. Something that should be my strength, I have smarter people around me that can help me. It became a mirror of I am not capable as capable as them. So switching that mentality was great. I'm still working on it. It's like still my first response, but I like, nope, you're not going there. This is good. So
Yes.
Being excited to be the dumbest in the room is it's a very powerful thing. And that will also work with the new tools, because your confidence does not come from, I know this, I'm an expert on this. It comes from, I can learn this. That's not a problem. Like I've learned other things as well. I will learn this too. So this confidence that you've done this before, you will do it again. And the whole learning, I don't learn as quickly as my son does, clearly. But on the other hand, maybe I don't absorb information the same way he does, but I have a lot of experience to build on whatever else comes my way. So don't underestimate. Let go of all these things. Oh, I'm too old to learn something. Yeah, no, you'll get there.
I like this. I like this a lot. Okay. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice about embracing change, what would it be? Jordyn, would you like to start us?
So I would just say being confident in why you're making the change and the core behind it, and just thinking that things will work out. Like if you look back a few years, I would never think I am where I am, but things work out and you have an interest and a passion, and that will eventually drive you on the right path. So like I mentioned before, when I was in the role that I didn't truly love, I definitely saw that in my output. And now in instant response, I really do love it. So I was able to have an awesome career, move up quickly within my different roles just because I loved the day to day. So if you're making a change that it's good for you and you believe in it, it will show over time. And it might not be quick. Sometimes people make it to the spot that you want to be at quicker. But if you put in the hard work and you really have that passion behind it, you will eventually get there and it'll work out.
I love that advice, Jordyn. And if you are sitting here listening to what Jordyn's saying and thinking to yourself, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? Like you actually like your day to day at work? Hi, listen to me. You're not in the right field. Keep looking. Okay. Talk to people, learn new things, have life experiences because I went to school for art history and now I'm doing this. So just keep your options open, y'all. All right, Mary, how do you feel about this? If you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice about adaptability and change, what would it be?
I agree with Jordyn. Passion cannot be like underestimated. It's the driving force. I was lucky to always have that from what I do, but what I did not was that it's a marathon, not a sprint. So just grinding, going quickly, trying to make it, it won't get you far, or it did not get me far. Burning out, like being stressed, hinders your ability to learn, hinders your ability to adapt and to be resilient, because that is a survival mode. This is not I want to rise mode. It's like I don't want to die. So all this advice of taking care of yourself, it's too far to go to push yourself. It doesn't work. So it's a marathon, not a sprint, is one of my personal mottos now.
I like that. No, I think that's wonderful. And it really does help to highlight that it's not that you should shouldn't push yourself harder at various points. That's totally fine. And we all do it from time to time in our lives. But pretending like you can sprint forever is not going to be good for you. That's one of the things that I've had to learn as a neurodivergent person later in life is that like just because you can do it doesn't mean it's good and sustainable. So I love this advice. Mary and Jordyn, thank you both for your time and sharing your expertise with us. This has been really, really great. And I very much appreciate you, breaking down and being a bit vulnerable about what it is like in your field and what it kind of takes to stay on top there. Just thank you both so much. I really, really appreciate this time that you've spent with us.
Thank you too. It was a wonderful conversation.